Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Heyman Marrero from Urbender, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU. Hi, everyone. I want to welcome my good friend, Evelyn Lebrón. I'm so excited to have you with us on the podcast today. How are you, Evelyn?
Good, good. Thank you for having me here.
Oh,
Looking forward.
absolutely. Absolutely. I just thought that it was so timely for so many reasons. But before we get into it, what are those eyes back there? Tell me, like you told me before.
Oh, this is I have my eyes on everything. I got your back. So
Yes,
there we
exactly.
go.
Like this, right? Yeah, exactly. I love it. Um, Evelyn is the founder and chief procurement officer of MBE Connection, and it's her own company. So she's in a minority business enterprise herself. And I am so excited because, Evelyn, I know you for over a decade. And I know that you've always had that like entrepreneurship side, like that the side gig, right? And always on and off, been working on pursuing, your own business endeavors, and now finally in 2021, you're like, you know what, that's it, I'm gonna go in head first and do this full time, and I know that you're already experiencing that it was the right thing to do, to finally just put all the eggs in your basket, right? and
Yeah.
applying all of that knowledge that you've acquired throughout your career, to not only, you know pursue your highest and fullest potential, but also your to fulfill your purpose in helping other minority business enterprises, but also the corporate sector and the government sector and the nonprofit, whoever's looking for diverse suppliers to basically, come together and have that engagement and have those mutually beneficial relationships, because that's where you're at your best, in that intersection between corporate, small business, procurement or business opportunities, contract certificate, all of that. And so anyway, I think the time can't be better. I think that as we continue to discover that entrepreneurship is a pathway for social justice, equity, and wealth, generational wealth in Black and Brown communities. More and more people are gonna dive in headfirst into into it. And so, welcome. I'm
Thank you.
so
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited. How are you?
Doing good. It's a dream come true. Sometimes some people, you keep waiting and when do you dive in full force and when is the right moment? And right now, with the way the economy is, people are thinking, "Oh, you're crazy." But no, when your passion is to help others, God will provide. And it has been an amazing time helping small business owners and minority owned business to better understand what they can really achieve and make sure that they have that right structure to connect. It is just very rewarding.
Yes, I know. And I know that right now, you're very focused on supporting them and really learning and knowing how to access and tap into the PPP and all of the support, right? That it's out there to make sure that they get over this hump, right now, that their businesses survive. But tell me a little bit about, I mean, because you've been in every single aspect of business, not only for yourself but for others too. So you've been in leadership starting businesses for others, like in startups. You've been at in the certification process. You've been in the mining for opportunity process, in the responding to RFP process, in the
Mhm.
government contracting process, which is that's a whole animal in and of itself, you know? And so how talk to me about how you've been able to really tap into all of these experiences to really understand what the pain points of minority business enterprises are, and what the pain points are of like the corporate sector, right? And what that low hanging fruit is to try to bring them together to bring forth opportunities.
Well, early on when I started here in Central Florida, a I launched El Sentinel, which is a new Hispanic newspaper, because obviously I'm Hispanic and I'm passionate about making sure that people are informed. With more informed decisions, you make better decisions. Then I launched El Nuevo Dia, my main newspaper from Puerto Rico. It was an amazing experience. And then I became the advertising director also for La Prensa newspaper, which was owned by
Mhm,
Imprenta. So they had over 60 newspapers nationwide. Throughout this process, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my community, served on a lot of different boards. I learned what Prospera was, the Hispanic Chamber. I started to understand that politics that goes on in this business world of ours. But as I left La Prensa, I moved on and I said, I have to learn more because there's got to be more that I can do for my community. I became a senior business consultant for the US Department of Commerce, which was an amazing experience. It was managed and operated by Florida State Minority Supplier Diversity Council. And there, Beatrice, our president, she is a world of information and connections. And she made sure that we studied and we learned because the more we knew, the more we can help our clients. And that's when I started to learn how much disadvantaged our communities are, our Black and Brown communities, because if we don't know about all these services that are free, or how to position our business, or how to even start a business and scale it to do business with the government or with corporate America, we're never going to get there.
mhm,
So that experience just took me full circle, and then I started taking care of all my clients. We've seen over 400 clients in the 3.5 years I was with them, from construction companies, engineering companies, technology companies, catering companies, all type of minority companies that wanted to
mhm,
grow their business. And there are a lot of people that want to grow, but they just
mhm,
don't know how to get there.
mhm,
And then I moved over and I said, it's time for me to do it on the other side. I went to work with Display America, one of my clients, and helped him with procurement and supplier diversity and making sure that he did connect with the right companies and how you do it. And there was a total learning curve on, all these companies that have supplier diversity, and are they truly practicing what they're, preaching? Are they
mhm,
really with us? And I established so many relationships throughout the United States with corporations and government entities that became a playing ground of leverage. So
mhm.
our voices are heard. And then I said, it's time to do me, go full circle and help some businesses grow. So it's um it's been interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's just been a full journey, right? In the sense of, where you are right now, that you feel like you have all of the right tools, all of the right knowledge, all and I've seen you in action. So the thing is, I know that you're quick on your feet too. So it's like, and exposure to so many categories. So, like you mentioned before, if it's beauty salons, if it's technology, if it's landscaping, it's janitorial services, It doesn't matter if it's manufacturing. It doesn't matter what category.
Mhm.
You've seen it all, and then coming from the client perspective too, or from the corporate standpoint, that process of vetting, seeking, assessing, right? The offerings of potential suppliers that you want to engage with. That's something that you already been there, done that, and so I think it's just fantastic that like the eyes behind you. It's like, yeah, you have like that bird's eye view that
Yeah.
you can quickly look at a situation and really say, okay, this goes with this, you're missing that. And so I think it's just great. I'm so excited for you, and just to know that you're a phone call away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
For me anyway, is fantastic. Yeah.
when you look at it, I have a 360 view of what businesses should be doing, right? But I don't claim to know it all, but I've made so many business relationship and strategic partnerships throughout the United States with the MBDAs, 40 centers, with the National Association of Minorities, also throughout the nation. So corporate buyers. So if you have a product or something, I can figure it out and I can go ask somebody if I don't know about it. So it's
No,
fun.
and you
It's
know
it,
what to ask. The thing is,
yeah.
you know what to ask. So it's lean, and it's very very targeted too, and so then I just think that that's what we're needing a lot of there. I feel that sometimes we have these resource centers, let's just call it like that, the generic name, and some may be really great at some aspects of minority business enterprise support, but then others not so much, and so having a subject matter expert that has, like you said, throughout the past, what? Well, how long you've been in business? 20 something years, has gone through every single aspect, suffered the growing pains, learned the ins and outs. And not only that, has established all of these connections nationwide. I think it's epic. Because it's almost like you're almost like a unicorn, which is fantastic. Now, and on top of that, you're also weighing in on platforms, that many people that look like us don't have
Yes.
access to. So you're representing too. I know that you've been also part of like the US of Commerce board in DC for what is it again? I'm sorry.
It's the DLA National Task Force for COVID,
Oh,
and we
yes.
meet talk about what's happening with COVID and how can minorities have more representation with
Mhm.
the U.S. Army Corps of Engineering and with government buying. But for that, we as minorities need to get our ducks in a row. A lot of
Mhm.
times people say, "Oh, they don't let me participate; that I'll never get there." But we need to do our part and making sure our business is where it needs to be and to their satisfaction, like any other business. Being a minority is just a cherry on the top. We still need to perform.
Right, exactly. So then it's lining up your ducks, right? And so I know, for example, it's very intimidating from is it, when we're dealing specifically with the corporate sector and with the government sector. Unfortunately, it's still about checking the boxes many times. They just want to fill these quotas or whatever. But you're right, it's about quality and being able to have the bandwidth to take on these big projects too. And to also wait for payment, because a lot of people in a lot of companies have like a 30-day payment cycle or 60 day, so then accessing the capital to be able to sustain your business while you get paid,
Yeah,
it's very important. And also the certification process, which certifications, filling them out, which is not easy. And I know because I've been through that, So what would you say if you had, I know it's a long list of stuff, but for someone that has a business idea, or that's already like in the initial stages, of dabbling, or has like their side gig, and is thinking about, I think I might want to do this full time. What would you say are the five top things, or the primary things that they would need to line up if they're a minority business enterprise to be able to um move forward on more steady ground?
Well, the first thing I recommend every business is you need a good accountant. And as minorities, we're like, oh, I can do that task. No, get an accountant. You also need an attorney because with the attorney, they're going to make sure your documents are good within the state of Florida and nationwide, just in case you do business elsewhere. A business consultant. A business consultant is going to give you a different perspective, tell you your baby's ugly, and let's fix it. And that way you can move on. Um, and then I also think that you need to really think about how that product can come to market. Is it something that people really need right now? Understand your competition, and how you're going to position that. Um, I also think that you also need to think about the end user. So if I'm going to be launching, I'm going to be selling desk. I need to know who the end user is. And then based on who's buying desks, if other cities, counties, or corporations, what certifications do they use? Don't go out and do 200 certifications. Do the certifications that the business that's going to buy your products needs. And then
Mhm.
along the line, you do others. But you need to start backwards. Think about
Yeah.
this is my product. Who buys my product? What certifications? What registrations? What vendor registrations I need to do? What documents I need to be incorporated? Do I need my capability statement? And then move forward.
Okay. And so then capital is always an issue, right? Especially if it's a product, not so much a service, but if you're trying to produce a product, to put it out to market, and the distribution channels and all of that, having um the necessary capital to be able to go to market is always critical. And it's one of the big obstacles or challenges that communities of color have. And so, what are some of the key criteria that
Well,
maybe financial institutions have, or even possible customers, like governmental or corporate entities that are looking to expand their pool of diverse suppliers, that they might be looking for to start engaging with prospective businesses.
So as you start a business, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't need money now." No, as you start your business, that's as soon as you start talking to your banks, applying for loans, understanding how much you qualify for, because it's going to take a while. A lot of our people you need to have working capital because it'll be 60, 90 days before you can, even get paid. And as a small business, you won't survive if you win a
Mhm.
large. But you also can think, and it's something that as minorities we struggle with, is because of trust issues, is teaming agreements, strategic partnerships, being a subcontractor, starting small. Figure out, if you're in construction and you do something, go partner up with someone. There's a lot of different people that do similar things that you do. And maybe they offer the paint and you offer installing the floors, or, you're an electrical engineer and the
Mhm.
other one is a GC. So try to meet different people within your industry to see how you can scale your business and grow. Because for the first 2 years, truly, if you didn't bring in a lot of capital to start with, it's going to be really almost impossible. Nationwide, there are a lot of organizations, Acción, BBIF, a lot of different organizations that you can tap into, and they're going to show you how to do it along the way before you need the
Mhm.
money. So we need to
Mhm.
better plan.
Yeah, totally. And I think that financial literacy is a big part of it. We're not really taught to
Mhm.
manage money. and to budget and all of that kind of stuff. And so while you need the support of a CPA or an accountant, and I think that's important, I think also understanding the fluctuations of the market and just knowing, a little bit more about the financial environment is helpful, isn't it?
Yes, and understanding what you're getting into with these contracts. If you get into an RFP and you bid and you underbid, you can be out of business in 30 days. If you
Mhm.
bid on something and you really don't have the money to support it and go through with the project, you will be out of business and you will be in a lawsuit. So that's why it's really important for the accountant and the attorney to look over any RFPs that you're bidding on, but before you bid on RFPs and things, you should have an expert, someone that can help you read, write, understand what you're getting into. If it's, a starting stage, find a mentor or a business consultant.
Yes, absolutely. And so tell me, how do you say, a moment, of like one of those stories that you're like, wow, they followed, the guides, they listened, they persevered, and look at where they are now. Are there any, I'm sure you have many of those, but any particular um business, and you don't need to name them if you don't want to, but just like maybe the category, and that you saw that they went from like point A to point Z, right, in a short amount of time, or consistently, that you saw that growth, by virtue of just being exposed to or tapping into the resources that you've been able to provide, throughout your work.
I think for some reason my strength has become automotive construction.
Uh-huh.
And I took construction with Turner Construction School, and I don't know. I just enjoy it because there's so much different moving parts in it. And
Mhm.
one of my clients was already in business, but I showed them how to scale their business and trust and do more strategic partnerships and start working other type of contracts. And that for them results are really good. They opened a second construction company, and they're working in a lot of different states right now, and keeping a lot of people employed. So for now, keeping people with jobs is very rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. So I just wanted to make sure that we were able to provide some, like, from a setup standpoint, for your business. We the you mentioned CPA, you mentioned the legal aspect, and you mentioned the business consultant, and just someone to guide you through that, or mentor, right? Because that's really the role, right, of the business consultant, is to really mentor through that process and to guide. But then now from the nuts and bolts aspect, right? Like, what are some of the key ingredients to be able to pitch, to be able to pitch to market, and to really, like, open for business, So what are some of the key things that you feel, the person that's contracting you, so that first impression, what are those
Well,
key elements that need to be, like, spot on and buttoned up to be able to give that strong first impression, that, wow, these are some people I want to do business with and give them my money.
Well, your brand. I think your brand is very important, and how you project it, and your entire advertising campaign. Because even if you're not advertising in old traditional media like newspapers, but right now we are everyday advertising on LinkedIn and Facebook and all our social media. So having a great logo, a great capability statement, your web page, all your social media components, having someone to take care of your brand integrity and do it across all platforms, I think that's very important. Um, I truly believe some people do not, but I truly believe you need a business plan because my philosophy is you can't get, if you're going on, if you're going to go to travel, you don't just leave and not knowing your destination, right? You need to have a
Right.
plan, a map. So that map is going to help you to keep you on track. It's also going to have a financial forecast that the banks are going to need when you're starting to apply for these loans. And it's going to keep you on track on what you're trying to do. um, I also think that all the partnerships that you can develop are very important. You need to be out there. I know that we are in a COVID world, but there's a lot of Zoom and a lot of different ways of connecting on the internet. Staying relevant within your industry is very important. Out of sight, out of mind. It's
Mhm.
You have to be. So if you're starting a business, you really need to know and love the product and service that you are going to provide. If you were to wake up every morning and say, I love what I do, that's what you need to do every day. I love what I do. If you don't even have to pay, if you can do a job and you would do it even if people didn't pay you, that's your passion.
Mhm.
Just seeing the smile on other people's faces. So find what that passion is because the road gets hard and you need to still love what you do. So
Yeah.
figure out what that product is, make sure you love it. Some people launch a product because they see a need in the market
Mm.
and they're launching a whole product that they probably don't even understand. And it just makes the road a little harder. Not that it
Mhm.
can't be, but it's just a little harder.
Mhm.
Um, I think also watch what partnerships you do.
Mhm.
The people you bring on your team, your new salespeople, your directors, your managers, um, they all have to have the same culture, the same vision, and understand where you want to take the company and share that goal.
Right, totally. And when we talk about culture, it's not about ethnic backgrounds, it's about organization, it's about mindset, right? It's about
Yes.
being aligned in terms of your values, your direction, your vision, your goals. I know that you mentioned the capability statement, and a lot of people just don't know what that is, you know? So could you, yeah, I know that I mean, in 2 minutes you're not going to be able to explain the whole thing, but some basic elements that go into, the capability statement, because it's like your presentation letter, right, to
Mhm.
companies and so what do you feel are some of the critical components of for any business, really, whether it's minority business owned or not, in terms of their capability statement? So what's the anatomy of a good kick-ass capability statement?
Well, the first thing, a capability statement is the resume of your business. So it's something that you're going to use within the supplier diversity world. It's a quick sheet. Sometimes it's one page or two. Key elements are your past performance, your certifications, your core services, a breakdown of your core services. Um, what is um, any license that you might have, basic information about the owners and the industry, and a lot. Hopefully, if you've been in business for a while, you can put a lot of past performance. But
Mhm.
if you're starting up, you can just place all the basic information of your business. That when they look at it, they totally understand what you do. So, okay,
Right.
this is a construction company and they do engineering and they cover Central Florida or they cover nationwide and they have all these certifications and these are their past clients and these are their names code, DUNS number, your EIN number, and where to contact you. That's the
Yeah.
main thing. Where can they find you? What's your webpage?
Exactly. So it's like a very, 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 if you have a good website, it's a very, very, very condensed version of like
Mhm.
the key highlights of your website, basically, right? So so that's what I'm hearing. So it's like, what do you do? How do you do it? Where do you do it? When do you do it? Right. And so it's basically breaking down all of that key information for people to be, for people that are cutting the bacalao, right? That have control of the of the budgets, to be able at a glance fully understand what your abilities and capabilities are. That's why it's called a capability statement, right? And the bandwidth too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That if they anyone that has a business, what they can do is just go Google their business. So they might have a painting company. They can
Mm-hmm.
put painting company capability statement, and you'll see samples. Or you
Mm-hmm.
can put construction company capability statements, and you can see samples. And with those samples, you can get an idea of what the content is. But always keep in mind to keep your brand integrity. Don't do a capability statement that doesn't even look like your webpage. Uh-uh. It's a
Yeah.
total,
So it's that
you know,
continuity. Yeah. So because
yes.
the brand is like the persona. It's like a
Mhm.
person almost. Yeah, for the a personality for the business. Okay, cool. And so any other insights or trends that you see coming down the pike, or recommendations that you can give, as like key takeaways in terms of opportunities, and also, like even like a mini motivational speech, for those people that have been up against the fence on whether, is it the right time? Do I start, my business? Am I ready for this? Do I have the chops, to do this? What would you say to them?
There's never the right time. You're going to sit down and wait for the right time. It's not going to happen. The right time is right now. You need to just make it happen. Take a notebook, start writing down everything you want to do and how you want to do it, and figure out how to do it and how to make it happen. I think right now in our economy with COVID, a lot of business owners are struggling. And that's why I dedicated my time to do this, because it's maybe the product and service that you have right now is not high in demand, but you need to study and see what is in demand, and you might have to pivot and change and shift gears to keep you and your staff in place. And a lot of
Hmm.
companies have taken advantage of this and started supplying PPPs throughout the United States and understanding that market, um, understanding the healthcare, understanding different things in restaurants right now. So there's a whole new gamut of services that they're going to need. Corporate America is going to need a lot of different things as we come back to work, and
Hmm.
partition walls and everything. So study what's around you, and within your capabilities, what can you shift into? Right
Hmm.
now, throughout the nation, I've also noticed that there is a lot of growing opportunities for Black-owned businesses. So do
Hmm.
your research, understand. I'm a Latina. I'm going to Google all day long and figure out what grants are available for Latinas, what opportunities, what free services. If you're African American right now, you should be Googling and connecting with all different type of organizations that can help you and can inform you to make better decisions within your business. So
Hmm.
there is money to be made. We just need to figure out how and then go get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so and that's what it takes, right? Just a little poking around, asking the right questions, and to end, right? And to wrap this up. Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know, but then also it's because we don't know because we don't know what to ask. And so what are some, or we feel, like, man, is it okay for me to even ask? And so what are some of the key questions that you can ask a company or a procurement officer, or like, who do you reach out to, and then what do you ask to know if you're a fit with this
So
company, or if you have an opportunity? Mhm.
I'm a small business. I'm going to look at my products and services and who I wanted to sell it to. I'm going to find the buyers within Disney, Universals, or whatever corporation you're going to look for. And email them. They do respond. This is their job. And
Mm.
instead of saying what opportunities are out there, say, what are you currently buying? Tell me,
Ah.
what is the products you're currently buying? And see within
Mhm.
that, can I supply any? Can if I don't have it, is there someone I can partner with? Can I create a
Mhm.
strategic partnership and have this contract? So talk to the buyers and don't be as scared. They answer all your questions. Very polite people. A little bit overwhelmed probably because there's so much going on right now.
Yeah.
But the best way to reach to them is to email them.
Mhm.
A lot of numbers and emails are out there in different portals, but figure out what are your top 10. Don't go for
Mhm.
the world. Figure out
Mhm.
what are your top 10. Join the organizations that they go to. If they're in the Hispanic Chamber, you're going to be in the chamber. If they go to HBIF event, wherever they're at, be
Yeah.
there.
You
Be
show
part
up.
of.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's some good advice. So
Mhm.
show up at the events, the virtual events where they're participating. Yeah, and then also, and so then so identify the buyers, so the procurement officers or the buyers for the companies, start with a list of 10, right? That you really want to target. And then it's not what opportunities are there for me? No, the question is, what are you buying? I love that.
What are you buying?
That's yeah, what
What are
are
you
you
buying?
buying? What are you
That's
buying?
that. They don't care. Because you're gonna invest so much time trying to explain your product to someone that's not buying what you're selling.
Selling. Yes.
Find the need and fill it. It's basic.
Yeah. Yes, that's awesome. But I never thought of it that way. Yeah. And it's more direct too. So that way you can say, okay, let me move on, or let me pivot, or who can I partner with to fulfill that need to be one of the people they buy this stuff from, XYZ, right? So yeah, I love
And
that. That's like really great advice.
and something that I participate and practice a lot is do join organizations, but truly participate. Don't just hang the membership on your wall.
Hmm.
I enjoy going to power nets, matchmakings, one-on-one roundtables. And if you're trying to get into supplier diversity and you do not understand these terms,
Mm-hmm.
you need to start Googling them because these are the events where the buyers meet the sellers, where
Okay.
an organization is giving you the opportunity to connect directly for 15 minutes with these buyers and give them a pitch, and after
Mm-hmm.
that pitch, if they're interested, they're gonna give you an appointment. But staying in your home and being virtual is not gonna make you money. You need
Right.
to be, and a lot of these organizations are I've participated quite a bit of them within the last 6 months, that they're doing all these matchmakings and one-on-ones virtually, but
Yeah.
you won't hear about them unless you join the organization. So if you get certified with an organization, participate with that organization. Let them
Right.
know
In
the
the
founder of
events.
that organization to know who you are.
Yeah, totally. And do your homework before then. So when you have the meeting with those 15 minutes, you can make the best of it. So if you already know ahead of time what they're buying, you can how do you say, craft your pitch to
Yes.
speak to addressing that need. Excellent. This is really great. Listen,
Mhm.
Evelyn, I mean, I think that given the time, the limited time that we have together, to record it, I feel like I could ask you a gazillion other questions, so we'll have to have you, again, just to give more do a deep dive, in different aspects of this, because this can be broken down. You can't pack 20 plus years of experience in less than an hour. But I feel like this has been great. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this time with me. This has been great. I even learned, so I gotta modify the way I ask. He says, "What are you buying?" I mean, it seems something so basic, but I
Mhm.
think that's a great way to approach a prospective client, right?
Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Well, my business is here to help. all small businesses. I do focus on minority-owned businesses. Right now, I'm focusing on the PPP loans and the idle loans, helping small, businesses that have under 5 employees or sole proprietors that don't even understand that they qualify for this money that's available.
Mm.
So,
Mhm.
one, if even if it's just for a question, if I can answer a question and you want to try to fill it out alone, go for it. But let's go get
Mhm.
that money
Yeah, because it's there, right, to support
there.
the business community. So that's great. Thank you so much, Evelyn. And I can't wait to see you in person. I miss you.
I do too. We'll
Okay.
get there. We'll get
Bye.
there.
Okay. Bye
Bye.
bye, Mama.
Thank you so much.
Bye. This concludes this episode of I Have Something to Say. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify and iTunes as well. There's more to come next week. And remember, if you have something to say, it's time to speak up.